So apologies to Wizards fans, but I'm talking about Bradley Beal again. Look, Brad's loyalty to the Wizards, it's noble, especially in today's NBA, but listen, man, he's got 1 year left in his contract because it's safe to assume he's going to decline his player option in 2023 because obviously he'll get more money on the open market. And so we're kind of at the wall here of like, you're really going to decide to stay with the Wizards? I mean, I know you did that 3-year extension. You gave them a last-ditch effort to figure it out. Things aren't going well, and I don't think anyone's going to fault Brad for wanting out at this point. Now, this said, I wouldn't be surprised if Beal wanted to go into next season at least, just because given his energy up to this point, with really giving this organization time to figure it out before he jumps ship, then maybe he'll end up getting moved 20 games in the next season or something. Even so, from an organization standpoint, if you've decided we just don't have enough time to convince this guy to stay, then it might be better to try to move him once we figure out where everybody's picking in the lottery. If anything, just for the Warriors' sake, because, I mean, they can trade the Wolves pick regardless, because if they don't get it this year, they get it next year. But for the Wizards' sake, maybe they would like the 4th pick this year, plus other things for Beal. This, of course, brings back the Wiseman thing, but I don't think that's enough for Beal. And I don't think Wiggins and Wiseman plus the 4th pick or next year's unprotected Wolves pick is enough for Beal. And before I talk about other deals, do the Wizards have some sort of chance of turning this thing around for Beal to want to stay? Because honestly, given how much Beal clearly wants to be in Washington, there's a chance that if they get this thing back up to some form of respectability, that'll be enough for him to stay. And if you just look at this upcoming season, I mean, you hope that Westbrook is just good out of the gates next year. Firing Scott Brooks would be nice. I don't know if they're going to do that. I think that's got to be like a, hey, Brad, do you want this guy fired or not sort of thing. And besides that, I think they would just need some of these young dudes to take real strides. I mean, I like Denny. I don't think Scott Brooks gives them the opportunity to do well. It would be huge for them if whoever they end up picking in the draft this offseason is good right away. There's a chance they get the top pick. That would certainly change some things. And then you have Rui as well, who has been pretty solid since he was picked last year. Not one of the more notable young dudes in the league, but he's pretty solid 2 years in. There's perhaps also a crazy world where the Wizards look to trade some of their young guys if it gets to the point of like, we've got to be good right now so Brad stays. We'll have to see. There's still some wiggle room to turn this around fast, but it's not looking good, of course. And once again, you just think about Beal trades. One team I think about for him is the Knicks. They've got the draft stuff. They got the Mavs picks. They got all their own picks. The big question would be RJ Barrett. I think if you'd be willing to include him, then, yeah, the Wizards would probably be down for that. Without RJ, thinking about what other teams could offer, it starts to get kind of tough. I think the next most interesting team is the Sixers because we saw them, of course, contemplate moving Ben for James Harden. Would they contemplate the same thing for Bradley Beal? A little younger than Harden, so fits into the timeline a little bit more. And Ben, for as much as I love him, the scoring goes up and down. He opened up this season, and it was sometimes like he was an afterthought in the offense while still being amazing on defense and doing his passing and all that. And then he had a great stretch of 17, 18 points a game, a little more aggressive to the rim, all that. Lately, it's been a little bit more of like, oh, where's Ben Simmons been for the last 4 minutes? Besides on defense, of course. So, we'll see. I think the playoffs for Philly are going to be a big factor in that sort of thing. And the other team who was in the James Harden rumors, of course, was Miami. And, I mean, are we going to play the Tyler Hero game again? I guess that's a possibility. The next team to think about is the Pelicans because they've got 9 million draft picks. If they wanted to include Ingram, that would probably get it done. The dream would be, of course, keeping Ingram and getting Beal, but I'm not really sure that's possible. I would say Atlanta could get in on that sort of thing with John Collins, but I'm a little confused about how that would work given his restricted free agency. It might have to be a sign and trade, which means Collins would have to approve it. If it wasn't going to be that, you might have to take it into the season because, after a certain amount of days, you can trade a guy who was signed. That one weirds me out, but, Collins plus stuff for Beal, I could see that. If the Nuggets wanted him, they could put MPJ in the deal, but he's also been kind of amazing for Denver lately. Of course, there's OKC with all their draft picks. I just don't think they have the players to go for Beal, because I'm assuming they'd want to keep Shea. Another one would be the Hornets, with the idea of, can we get Beal while definitely keeping LaMelo and probably keeping Hayward? So it'd be something like Rozier, who was very close to free agency himself, by the way. PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, and like 4 firsts. It probably doesn't do it because the players aren't good enough for Beal, but I don't know. I think just given how good LaMelo is, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Charlotte in trade rumors. And after all the teams I've mentioned, I don't really know who's left. I mean, the Celtics, they don't have the players. They have the picks, but they don't have the players for that sort of thing. I guess the Raptors could put a good offer out there between Van Fleet, Siakam, Anunoby. The idea is you keep one of your very good players to pair up with Beal. And honestly, in that scenario, maybe Lowry's coming back and you're making another push at a title. I think the last team I would think about is maybe the Pacers, because, between Karras, Brogdon, Sabonis, Turner, all their picks, TJ if he's healthy, I'm not really sure what the move would be. I mean, those are a lot of good players and you don't want to give them all up, but there could be a move in there. If I was the Wizards, I would want Sabonis in there, definitely. So yeah, I feel like I've mentioned almost every team in the NBA. Although when I Google Bradley Beal trades, I get one with the Cavs where they're giving up Darius Garland and Larry Nance, and I'm like, I don't think that's enough for Beal. I guess the last thing that I'm going to look at is what teams have cap space for 2023, which is when Beal will be a free agent. This is assuming he declines the option and he's not signing an extension, which, if he stays on the Wizards, there's a decent chance of this happening. But anyway, the main team is still the Knicks, because the only contract they're going to have to commit to is Julius Randle. I mean, Mitchell Robinson, there's a conversation there about what you should give him, but he's not a must re-sign guy if the price gets too high. Whereas with Randle, he's basically guaranteed to be over $20 million in 2023. And also, RJ will be on the last year of his rookie contract that season, so his extension would not hurt them in this scenario. And after that, sure, there's a lot of teams with cap space in the 2023 offseason, but the two that are most noticeable to me for Beal are Miami and Dallas. With the Mavs, even after they give Luka his max, they would be able to afford the $40 million for Beal, assuming that they strip the roster of basically everything besides Luka and Porzingis. And then for Miami, they will only have Jimmy, Bam, Hero, and Precious under contract in 2023 as of right now. Now, there's decisions to be made about Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Victor Oladipo, so we'll have to see. But at the moment, if they were really determined to have cap space in that offseason, they could do it. It's getting to that time, man. Either Beal's going to agree to another contract or, I don't know, he's going to want out.